Yep, nice to have the bye week after coming back from St. Cloud. It was nice. I thought we had a good strategic week of kind of some rest and some practice. We were able to really focus on some key things, but also get a little recovery in, as well as some conditioning in. So I think the guys look real fresh here, and I gotta get that rust knocked off the next couple of days here to be ready for obviously a strong team coming in with North Dakota.
Coach, I know you're not big on the big picture stuff week to week, but the fact of the matter is there's 3 games left, or 3 series left rather. You've had success against all 3 teams, and what happens these next 3 weeks are going to kind of dictate where you fall for the playoffs. So I guess if you could kind of just take a quick look at that big picture and see how you feel going into this and what you can achieve here in the last 3 weeks to kind of get you where you want to be.
Yeah, we want to stay focused, just kind of one day at a time, but also realize the urgency of the situation here with 6 games remaining in the regular season. And so we met as a team on Sunday and had a good team meeting about that, kind of just a focus here for down the stretch, and know the importance of these next 3 series. And it starts on Friday night with North Dakota here, and just the attention to detail, the urgency. It's kind of our seniors' last couple home games here with only 2 series left possibly in the season. So it's just it's time to make sure we're buckling down and putting the time and the work in and earning the opportunity to have a chance of success here coming up in the next 3 weekends. So I think the guys all know the level of the situation, and we're preparing accordingly for it.
Coach, why don't you talk about North Dakota? What makes them so good?
I mean, I think this one is their tradition. They just have an ability to constantly recruit some of the top players in the countries, I guess, with Canada and U.S. and Europe. And they just have that ability to kind of reload when they lose good players. They kind of reload, and obviously they're an elite program with a lot of tradition there, and that's something we want to be like in the future. They're kind of known as a top program, and so again, they just have that ability. They got a lot of players that can make plays. They're well coached. They play a good style of game. So you got to be ready to go from the drop of the puck.
With them this year, clearly not as maybe high-end talent offensively as what they've been in the past, but they've seemed to manage to, whatever weekend it is, if they have a bad Friday, to come back and have a better effort on Saturday. I guess, is that part of their culture up there, just to be able to have that kind of resiliency? Do you feel like, is there a little more to that than just playing better from one night to the next? Because it seemed like they did it last weekend. They certainly did it in the weekend that you played them. I guess, what have you noticed about them in the times that you've seen them this year?
Yeah, I watched both games. I actually thought they were probably the better team on Friday night. I thought Colorado College goaltender played extremely well, and CC plays a little bit of that opportunistic style where they'll counter on the rush, and they got the ability to score off the rush. So I thought they were okay both nights. To be honest, I thought they were quite strong. So yeah, I think that's just with the parity now. With the parity in college hockey, you have to be ready to go every night. And as all teams are, as you're seeing around the league and around the country, it's difficult to do that consistently. So it's real special when your team's able to do that on back-to-back nights. And like you said, they've done a good job of rebounding if they haven't got the W on Friday night and coming out really strong on Saturday. So again, we just got to take care of our own business and be ready to go on Friday night.
Have you looked back at your first series with them, with the guys, very much? Because clearly it was polar opposites from night to night. And from your mind, which got more stress, like how you played on Friday or what happened on Saturday? Yeah,
we'll show a little bit of, I think, some of the positives we did on Friday night, the ability when we execute at a certain level, and this is what we're doing, here's the results we can get. And then we'll pre-scout them a little bit too, but we won't show anything on Saturday. Probably we've talked about that already, and we'll stay focused on the positives. And hey, when we play like this is how we look. Here's what we need to do to be successful. Really try to keep the guys' confidence high and execution level high. So they know the practices are getting a little bit more intense. They know I'm going to get more intense down the stretch here too, and it's just that level of urgency that has to rise because it's a key moment in a game that can be the difference at any time. So you got to prepare for that because you never know when it's going to happen.
You mentioned the bye week being good for you at this point. How much do you feel like, in hindsight, that was needed just because you had played 6 consecutive series against ranked teams since coming out of the break without any kind of stoppage at all?
I think it's good. Again, I really like talking to the players and getting their side of things too, and feeling how they're feeling, and trying to get into their heads a little bit on how their bodies are feeling and what they're doing. So, and we have a couple of guys that I really trust their opinion. You know, you're not getting guys that just want days off. You're getting guys that are being honest with you with their feedback, and I think that's really important with the staff and his players to really communicate with them and figure out how they're feeling, and then use that week really to our ability, because we haven't had a break since Christmas. We got some guys that are banged up a little bit again, so we want to make sure we're putting the work in so we're the best conditioned team out there, but also getting the recovery in so we have the ability to have that energy in back-to-back games and throughout a hard weekend of games. You know, you look back to the Western Michigan series, we finished that game, we were tired and beat up, and that's how you have to feel, you know. And so it's you want to make sure your energy levels are at a high level for that.
Does it help jumping right back into the mix this weekend with a team that not only, you know, has done well, but a team that travels well, and you kind of know what the atmosphere is going to be like on Friday night to get ready, I guess, for this home stretch of the season to be able to come back with a series like this right out of the gate?
I think it's exciting. You know, I think anytime, you know, the building's going to be loud and be excited, I think it's a great atmosphere that I know the guys enjoy playing it. I know I enjoy coaching in it. These are the moments that you spend all the time when nobody else is watching, working on your game and working on your ability to be ready for these games. So I know the guys have a good hop in their step here this week in practice.
What was the overall health just with the week off and then going into this weekend?
Yeah, it was nice. We got a couple guys some extra rest time that needed it a little bit, and other guys some extra work that needed it a little bit. So it was a nice balance to get kind of everybody hopefully kind of peaking for Friday. I'm trying to think if, you know, we'll have a couple of guys that are still questionable for Friday, but by the most part, hopefully we'll have some guys that will be ready to go for Friday night.
In Jordan's case, is he ever getting any closer to getting back? I know it's kind of been a long.
Yeah, with that lower body injury, those are kind of tricky. Again, it's just, you know, one day you think he's going to be back, and then the next day you think he's not going to be back. So it's still kind of a day-to-day thing with him, but I would say he's probably, you know, doubtful for this weekend.
Okay. Did you envision it being this long back when it happened? Or?
Yeah, you know, I think the best thing to do as a coach is to start distancing yourself from what they tell you 3 weeks when it happens, and then it's whatever, how many weeks it's been since it's happened, you know. So I think you're best. I've heard a couple NHL coaches just say, hey, you know, when they're injured, they're not that they're dead to you, but they're in somebody else's hands, and you got to let them get better and worry about the guys they can, because you start worrying about, oh, I wish I had this guy back or this guy back, then I think that's not a great mindset to be in as a coach. And we're worried about the guys that are healthy and ready to go, and that's why it's important you have a good staff to take care of those injured guys and get them ready as quickly as possible.
Mike, didn't you go through a similar injury?
Yeah.
So you could relate to what Jordan's going through.
Yeah, those are tricky injuries, you know, without kind of identifying what the injury is. Those are tricky injuries to go for, and they take time, and especially for a defenseman, they can be a little bit trickier with the skating and mobility that you need to skate with it. So yeah, those are tricky injuries, and there's you know, everybody's working hard to get back, but it's one of those things, you feel great and then all of a sudden you tweak it and then you're right back to square one a little bit there. So it takes time, and that's hockey for you. Yeah.
Do you feel like with the week off and then going into this week and knowing that's North Dakota, that given the time of the season that there is kind of a routine in place, but the guys might feel a little bit more of the intensity knowing that A, they're excited to get back on the ice, and B, it's North Dakota. Is that kind of a challenge for the coaching staff to kind of keep them even keel there? I
think so. I mean, that's like we talked about as a team. You gotta have that level of urgency, you know, getting the guys ready, but you also have that sense of emotional control as a coach, because you don't want your guys to get too high or too low heading into a big weekend where everything's on the line a little bit, right? So again, that's that found balance, and I think as a coach, the best thing you can do is show emotional control and make sure you kind of have a plan in place and you're organized and you're prepared, and then you just kind of follow a routine a little bit, and those guys usually just fall right in and work hard and worry about what they can control. And so again, I think it's important. We've done a good job this week. They knew the schedule 2 weeks out. They knew exactly what to prepare, when their days off were coming, when practice was coming, what we have certain days, and we wanted to get that information to them early so they can prepare themselves for the week ahead. And they're mature young men, and that's what we talk about them all the time. Hey, we want to treat them like professionals and highly responsible individuals that they are, and we trust that they're going to not abuse their time off and things like that, because we're all working towards a common goal. So it's nice to be transparent with them on our process and let them know what to expect, and then they can plan accordingly and take care of themselves and be ready to go when practice or the game starts.
The 6 seniors, I didn't realize till I read that in your story, nice job by the way, lead the nation in scoring. How important, I mean, that's pretty clear. These guys are very important to the success of your team, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. I think anytime you're older guys or you're kind of backbone of their team, and they're the guys that the coach relies on to help echo your message to the locker room. And again, my definition of culture is what goes on when the coach is not around. And those guys are big guys that lead that culture and develop that culture and set the expectations for how they want their teammates to play and conduct themselves. So there's no more important role than your seniors or your leaders on a team. And we're very fortunate to have some tremendous young men on our team.
To Evan's mindset from sort of the first half where he is, and if you guys kind of leaned on him the last few series too, do you see that confidence growing even in practice and preparation amongst the other goalies too? I do. I'm really proud of all our three goalies. Their practice habits, I think, have gotten better. I think they've been more competitive in practice. I think they're focusing more on the process, not the results. Not necessarily if they're getting beat or making saves, but how they're practicing, what's their level of intensity, what's their compete level, or they challenge themselves on a daily basis to get better. And I thought our goalies have done a great job of that. And I think in the games it's shown with Evan, even though we had a couple losses last week, and I think he's looking more solid out there, more confident. He's quieter, he's competing hard, he's being big in the net, and I think our guys are gaining confidence from that as well, knowing that we got a guy back there that's going to make some saves for us.
North Dakota still, they like to kind of drop the quarterback there as a defenseman to throw that long bomb.
Mm-hmm.
How does that affect your team defense coming back through the neutral zone? Because they tend to look for that two-time zone pass.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you just have to be so aware against teams like that have so many. A couple of really good defensemen back there on the court, on their D-core that are very mobile and very active. So, again, you got to take care of those guys without giving too much of our game plan. You got to take care of those D-men, and you got to manage them and be 270 and being aware of everybody's at, and all five guys on the ice have to be active. You can't be sleeping or they'll make you pay for it. So, again, we're just really focused on this week, their attention to detail and being active and being ready to go, all five guys, and not just looking at your buddy to get the job done. You got to work at it together.
Yeah, I think everybody feels a little bit rested. I know I was talking to some of the guys. It's probably a pretty good time to have a bye weekend with 6 games left. So we're looking forward to the weekend. It was a good rest.
Yeah, I mean, going into a weekend against North Dakota, especially at home, it's nice to kind of get another weekend where you just get to hang out at home, kind of relax, rest, and reset. So I think it'll help us for these last 6 games.
Is it good that it's North Dakota this week, that after the bye week you get to jump right back with an intense series to kind of get you geared up for the stretch run?
Yeah, I think so. Definitely having a break going into playing a good team like North Dakota is always huge. So we'll be ready.
Yeah, I mean, North Dakota's obviously a good team. They've shown that in the last couple of weeks here. So it's a good team to kind of start off our last stretch against and show that we could keep up with teams like that and kind of show them what our building's all about.
The coaches don't like to talk about the big picture and where you sit in the standings. I'm sure you guys are all aware of that, and the opportunities you have here in the last 3 weeks to move up down the stretch. I guess how much has that been a talking point, and how do you feel like you guys have set yourself up here for the final round?
Yeah, I mean, we talk about it, but kind of like you were saying, Coach Cabinet doesn't like to look too far into the future, and I think that's kind of more like a team mindset as well for the players. But we know that we have to win some big games here to solidify a spot in the tournament. We know it's within reach, so we're aware of the situation, and we just got to get game by game.
Do you feel like that, Evan, just because you've seen everybody now that you're going to see?
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, we obviously don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and we know where we sit, and we know that even though we're up there in the pairwise, we're not up there in our conference, so we're not content with that by any means. So I think we're all just going in and trying to win every game, and we're just kind of looking each game as itself and not really looking too far.
David is one of the veterans on this team, kind of gone through this week with North Dakota. I asked Coach, and I was curious, what do you think when it comes to the preparation and maybe that urge or at least temptation to maybe go a little bit harder just because you're excited to play a team like that, and especially coming off the bye week, just excited to get back out there. Is that kind of challenging just to kind of keep things even keel in preparation so you do have your legs for 6 periods or more this weekend?
I think personally I treat it kind of like every other week. I don't think that adrenaline and stuff really starts to kick in for me until it's game time. So in terms of trying to relax throughout the week. I don't think it's necessarily too difficult for us. But when the game starts, I think that's when we're going to have some composure in the first period and not be nervous and just play.
Yeah, pretty much the same. It's just another weekend of games. I mean, if you look, St. Cloud, Denver, they're all ahead of them. I wouldn't say better, but they're ahead of them. So it's not really much of a different weekend for us. We just gotta kind of come out, play our game, and kind of take the rest of the days leading up to that weekend as just regular practice days, work on the details, and see how it treats us.
Hey, John kind of brought up earlier when coaches in there, just what the senior class has done, and for story up last week, I talked to Vessel and Randolph a lot. They obviously were very complimentary of you and the season that you had, kind of leading that group and things like that. How much do you feel like you guys needed to have collectively as a group a big year if this team was going to do things that you wanted to do, and I guess how does what you've been able to accomplish individually kind of play into that group?
I think we have 6 seniors, and we were here our freshman year and we went to the Frozen Four. So I think actually something we talked about earlier this week is something each class can kind of bring to the team to help contribute to having the season we want to have. And one thing we said as seniors was experience and resiliency, and it's our last kick at the can pretty much. So personally, I've had a good year, but a lot of guys have had good years, and I think our senior class has done a great job by leading by example. And I think Luke Nogard's got 10 goals this year, which is a breakout year for him as well. So a lot of guys are contributing, and it's good to see.
Is there more of a sense of urgency now, since you guys are really only guaranteed 2 more home series at this point, and I guess the finish line is somewhat lingering. It could be whenever, but it is approaching, I guess.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of desperation, and like I said, we're right on that bubble, and we know what we need to do to solidify a tournament spot. And I think another goal of ours is to go to Minneapolis this year for the Final Four for our conference. I don't think our school's ever done that, so that's also something that would be very special.
How much does these next 3 weeks become about just that, about trying to set yourself up for the best position possible to make that happen?
Yeah, I think from a mental standpoint, it's good to know what we need to do, but at the same time, we don't want to get ahead of ourselves, and we just kind of got to relax and play our game and play hockey.
I think we just can't get too caught up in trying to make sure and be getting down on ourselves if we don't quite get to the home ice advantage kind of thing. And we're a solid road team, even though last couple of weeks haven't gone great in the road, but we've been playing top 10 teams in the country. So I think we all have some confidence no matter who we play playoffs and if we're at home or away. But I think the big thing is we just kind of got to buckle down week by week and take care of our business.
Evan, in your view, just in that, what do you see North Dakota and compared to maybe some of the previous times? So what do you see about them that's challenging? What are the things that you really feel like you're going to emphasize this weekend?
They like to shoot it off the rush a lot, and they like to walk off the walls and shoot. So it's really about making the first save and kind of controlling those rebounds because they're swarming the net right after. I mean, we saw it when we were in North Dakota. They come hard, and if things aren't going in for them, they're going to just keep coming harder. So I think it's just about staying composed and trusting my D in front of me and trusting the forwards to kind of block shots and get in their lanes and force them to maybe take shots that they shouldn't be taking. And for me personally, it's just about kind of staying relaxed, calm, and playing my game.
Yeah, but how do you use different points on the rink to set your angles up and all that? How difficult it is to come from the bigger ice surface like up at St. Cloud to the smaller, the NHL size rink?
It's not as bad going from the big one to the small, and it's more the small to the big. So it was nice that we got to practice at Tranquility and in St. Cloud a couple times there before that. But obviously the transition coming back was not just nothing, though. It's nice to have the bye week to kind of get more practices under the belt back with the regular ice. But it is different. I mean, you like to line yourself up with, like you said, the dots and the corners of the blue lines, and sometimes you kind of feel like you're not quite online because you're used to the other rink. But no, it's a good process to kind of just make sure that every time you look and see that you're in the right angle and stuff every shot.